Do you know what time that was?
No.
It was 9:45. Watch now, because now we are seeing the football was starting at 10. It's crazy. That's the situation on the ground. You can't breathe.
So the policeman shouldn't walk around the pub?
In fact, we even at the height of curfew, we got to a point where we were fighting the government, and until we were getting directives that no policeman under the level of chief inspector could come behind your bar. We had gotten to a point where it was pure terrorism. Yeah, he's really bad on the ground. This is just creating bigger and bigger gaps for people to make money. It's going to Christmas.
What would it take to come to consensus? What would it take to come to middle ground whereby there's some give and go by both sides? Government on this side say at least do this minimum, and for the owners, what would it take also to say do this? Because you've already established that, the noise in residential areas, my goodness, it's a pain in the neck. Can we see how we can sort that out? Which also the government has said, look, this is the case. But then, of course, nobody wants to see anybody lose a job, for whatever reason. And nobody wants to see the harassment that you talk about, if that's what it's going to get to. But there must be a place where both sides meet.
We were already in the process. Now, there is one thing. If we have got people, let's actually think about the people who have already complied. We have places that have spent 4 to 5 million shillings soundproofing, because soundproofing is a very expensive exercise. So they've spent 4 or 5 million. I have one bar there, one of the ones our friend was making noise about, your friend, Alai. And they have spent...
He has been established that he is my friend. All right. Okay.
5 million, they've soundproofed. You can't hear the noise from the gate. So then the problem is no longer noise. But they're still coming up on these lists. The issue now becomes the parking.
Meaning there is no time when there won't be a problem. Yes, that's what you're saying.
So now we have to come to, if given time, this is the problem. Let's come together, find the solution. Like now, the people who can afford to soundproof, let's soundproof. If you can't afford, then follow the means at that 10 o'clock or whatever it is, 11 o'clock, put your music down. Fine.
All right.
We are very happy that, but don't let the person who's complied be treated the same. As now we have people who've paid the 130,000. They have done soundproofing. They have done all these things, but we have people walking in to tell them to leave, telling their customers to leave. It's not fair at all.
But that is not the realm of unfairness. That's the realm of illegality.
It is illegal what's happening, but so now
the question becomes: whom do you report this matter?
No, but you see,
because this is happening, like you're saying, the harassment, whether it's subliminal or not, whether it's outright, that it is happening.
Yes.
Okay. To whom do you take these concerns?
Now, these concerns, as we were saying, we have tried to find. Now we are looking for how do we call it? Alternative dispute resolution measures,
mechanisms. Okay.
Because at the moment, because of the hula baloo, and I understand the governor is a politician at the end of the day, you have to be seen to be siding with people. Let's be honest. So it is easier for him to wait for us to look, maybe go to court or to petition, and then he can stand back and say, nilijaribu kuwasaidia lakini unaona. So even if he's based in what he's done is illegal, but he can use it. It's all about votes.
You see, my reference wasn't to what he has done. My reference was to all these activities that you're referring to, a policeman walking in to harass people, and yet you've complied. It's like it's open season.
It is open season.
Yes. Now, given the organization that you had,
yes,
surely when you talk about alternate dispute resolution mechanisms, should that not have been the first port of call? If not, the person with whom you're having a conversation previously, what does he say? He is, after all, the deputy governor.
Now, see, now...
No, because if there was somebody...
Politics.
No, it is, yes, but if you are having a conversation with part of the administration, the number 2 in the county, okay, he would know. Yes. Now, surely, would that not be the person to whom you would go and say, Mheshimiwa?
Let him come back. He had gone to India.
Okay.
Okay. So on his return, there's a possibility that you could have this conversation with him.
We are hoping.
Okay. There's a question that you've not answered, Michael. I think this now will be the third time that I'll ask it.
Okay.
Is there something wrong with these? Because I'm coming back to these residential areas.
Yes.
These nightclubs that we talk about, the bars and the restaurants. What would be the problem shutting off the noise after 10 p.m.? In a residential area. I'm not talking about in the middle of the CBD. I'm not talking about on the highway. In a residential area, what is wrong
And
with
I'll come
shutting off
back
the
to
noise
you
at
with
10?
this answer. If this is a place that's in the middle of, let's say it's a row of houses, and then there's a bar smack in the middle, and then they're playing loud, even me, I'd be like, please, relax.
I would be asking, why is there a bar there in the first place?
Thank you. But it should be maybe in the nearest shopping center sort of thing. Yes. But people got licenses where we are. People dropped a lot of money in these places. So we're in a place where we are like in a catch-22.
So are you silently saying that they should not have been given these licenses in the first place to be in those areas? You can go ahead and say
that's a conversation for another day. But now we are here. I think the resolution is this. Let us give them the time to soundproof their things. Let noise not be something we are talking about every day. If you cannot or are not willing to soundproof, or you do not have the funds, we look for how, like now we are in talks with people who sell soundproofing to see how we can get these places soundproofed and stuff like that. So let's get these places soundproofed so that we are not discussing noise with the neighbors first. We don't want, it's not healthy for anyone to be in this continuous fight.
After all, your neighbors are your customers,
Yes.
aren't they?
It's not healthy at all for anybody, any of us. I would rather be here talking about something much happier. It's Christmas coming up. But so that's one thing. Time, sort out the soundproofing. Major thing, which is parking, is a problem. I can tell you for free, I don't have one solution.
What do you mean parking is a problem?
The areas which we're talking about, which now have the most noise behind them, the Kilimani, Lavington.
Which means they
areas.
also have many customers.
Yes, so now everybody wants to take their car. You can find someone is living 3 doors down. Will enter their car to drive there, to fight with the watchman outside when he can see his gate.
Yes, my friend, it's called basic human rights.
Yeah. So last time we had some similar type of issue was in 2017 with the alcohol law. We had signed an MOU with NTSA, with some of the cab companies. It was Taxify, I think, were the cab companies at the time. Signed an MOU. We came together. We had some of our stakeholders. I think it was EABL, not EABL. It was ABAC, the Association of the Alcohol Manufacturers, to come and push that the taxi.
Yeah.
A good example is Uganda. Their mentality is, which is what was here, I think, some time back, come from work, go home, take a shower, then go out. Here, Kenyans, once they enter the house, they tell themselves these days they can't leave. So they get home late because they pass through the bars. And as they are passing through the bars, they are using their cars.
Yes.
But if they were to make a mental deny of take a cab, or if we are working together in the county, anything, shuttle, anything. If we've decided we are doing this, then let's do it properly. Let's create something that is not disturbing anyone.
And that would essentially take care of the parking problem, because what we have now is that there's parking again in these residential bars and establishments, that people are now parking on the roads and the access ways and the walkways, and it's causing a nuisance.
That one I won't refuse. There are people who are taking half an hour to get home if they go home at the wrong time. That is the truth of the matter. And these things we have to find solutions for. Yeah.
You do have your work cut out for you, don't you?
It's serious.
But the thing is, you have lawyers who represent you as an organization.
Yes.
Probably among the members of your organization, some of them are perhaps legal practitioners.
Yes.
The question is this. With the social situation we have in this country and the discussion around impunity and corruption and what have you, Do you actually think that it is possible to come up with a framework that will make your business tenable and work peacefully within the law? Is it possible?
Yes, hopefully. We can only be hopeful. In fact, if the governor had followed the act and the law as it is and removed a statement saying within your hours this music shut off, if you are a club, if you've not done 1, 2, 3, that would have been different. And that's the issue. The issue I don't have the issue with the sentiment behind what he's saying. I have an issue with him doing it blanket. So we are, the majority of people, of the group of people with that license, are compliant. But now, because of a few bad apples, they have all been attacked. So it's affecting everyone because of a few people. Why, when we were in the process of solving those few people and letting other people work.
Right.
Yes.
The way in which you've explained it, okay, unless you're saying you've not been given a chance to then sit before county government and say, look, this is what we are dealing with, but that the majority of us actually are willing to comply, or at the very least, find a solution that works for everybody. It's maybe 1, 2, 3 of these fellas that we have a problem with.
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to sit with them and tell them this very thing?
That's what I'm telling you. We had 2 meetings. Everything was moving forward. Then we were all hit. I'm sure even the Residents Association didn't expect this because we were already in meetings. We were moving forward. We had started seeing our way forward.
Yeah,
we were even to come up with a report to give the DG of how we are going to change and everyone is going to become compliant. And this is the time frames and this is the roadmap. We've not gotten the chance. We were just hit with this out of nowhere.
Okay. I believe that, just looking at how things have previous discourse then presents an opportunity for, some of these things to be ironed out. So maybe the losses that we're looking at are not complete losses and that maybe now they will be returning. Because, from your own admission, there's still an opportunity to speak about some of these things.
I am very hopeful that the governor will come back to the table. And actually, that's what I don't know. Did he know what was happening with the DG thus? Or did he have some news from somewhere else and just make this statement without the DGs? We don't know.
The thing about businesses, the one you speak of, even with all these regulations, would you say it's a growth industry? Are more people still joining the business? Or because of the issues that you have, you find people probably shutting down and not bothering to continue the business? You
see, we are coming off a tough time of 2 years of COVID, where we had a huge attrition in our business of about 42%. And now as we are reopening slowly by slowly, this is a business where everyone retires and thinks, let me open a bar. Nimeambiwa iko na pesa. That's a problem we've had in this industry. So we actually have those issues when we're trying to capacity build people who entered this business blind. It's the same as during COVID. The people who started opening wines and spirits left, right, and center. If you look at some places, that's what they're saying is a building, and then down there's wines and spirits. And that's what every building, if you go around these lands, you go around some places here, is wines and spirit after wines and spirit after wines and spirit. People just open without actually knowing. So now we have an attrition of the people who opened without knowing what they were doing. Professionalism is a problem in our business.
Okay.
Yes. All we can do is hope for capacity build and see where we can go.
One can only hope. So, Michael, thanks for coming in and talking with us this morning. And also, shedding some lights. And, when CT wants to open that establishment, to also understand how many licenses did we say? 31 licenses that you need to open such an establishment. It's also a learning, process for a lot of people to understand what it gets into it. And the hope is that, you can have a conversation with county government and that we will not see job losses. But at the same time, everybody that can and should comply will, comply.
We already have seen the job losses in that 1 week.
Hopefully we can, claw back on that. Indeed. Michael Mudhami is the chairperson of the Pubs, Entertainment and Restaurants Association of Kenya. Thanks for being in Kenya's biggest conversation with us this morning. As we round down on the show today, thanks a lot for joining us, and hopefully we can catch up with you in the near future and find out, how far, right? Asante sana. Folks, thank you for keeping it Kenya's biggest conversation today. It's been fun, of course, but also important looking at some of the issues that we have been able to discuss today. The conversation continues tomorrow. We'll be back to have, more conversations around things that are making impact in our society. All right. Sugar and Spice music that you can enjoy coming up after 10, and then Yolanda and DJ Absolute join you at 11. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Enjoy your day.
Spice up your life. More of the classics and the hits you love.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis.